My next guest is the prime example of if you just believe, then anything can happen. Got up with Nathan Carr following his first drive here at Club Menangle. Nathan, good to catch up with you. You've had your first drive here at Club Menangle with Plains in Heaven. What do you think of the run?
I was happy with him, Mike. I didn't expect a hell of a lot. He was in a race that probably didn't suit him with the way the rating system is. Obviously there's quite a few higher rated horses there, but he was really here as a travelling partner for the trotter in the last. But I was really happy with him because he hasn't eaten or drank much in the last 2 days, so I didn't know what to expect. And everyone tells me it's very hard the first time here racing at Menangle, so I was really happy. I thought I was, at the top of the straight, I was a good chance to run fifth, and then I forgot the straight was about 400 metres long, so it was sort of only right near the line that a couple others got past him for fifth, so I was really happy.
And he still covered the distance in 1:52.6, which is probably a PB.
Oh yeah, by a long way, I'd say. I think the fastest time he's won at home might be about 56 or something. So yeah, no, I was really happy with him.
Situated just outside of Ballarat, only a small team.
Yeah, not too many racehorses. Generally, I try to keep it down to about 4 or 5, but mostly, breaking in pre-training young horses for other people most of the time.
Yeah, that's your specialty. And how many horses at any one time would you be breaking in and pre-training?
Any one time, sort of up to around 15. That's a lot for me with a young family. But yeah, I can, depending on the time of the year, sales season's always busy, and a lot of the breakers come back for me for second, third preparations. So for certain clients, so it's always busy year round, and it's I've got great clients, and I end up with some nice horses out of it, so which is good.
Nathan, I read where you said one of your strong points as far as working with young horses is patience.
So I've been told. I guess that was probably born into me from a young age with Don Murphy was probably my tutor as a young person, to learn how to break horses in, and Don was always patient with the horses, and I think that's probably born out in me.
You live close to the Murphys. What's the connection?
Yeah, well, I grew up next door to the Murphys, and we're pretty close relations actually. So, once sort of David, Don's youngest son, sort of got involved in the horses, and he's only a few years older than me. Just sort of started following him, and after sort of the years of Vanderport with Don trained Vanderport and had a lot of success, and David eventually sort of started to get into the driving, and then took over the training of the team, and just got more and more horses around and had great success. So I ended up just sort of going over there and spent a lot of time working for the Murphys.
You mentioned Vanderport, and he certainly was a favourite of many people in harness racing. 62 starts with 20 wins and 19 placings. What attracted you to Vanderport?
Well, he was a pretty rowdy sort of horse. I actually had a lot to do with him, not so much as a racehorse, but he was probably mostly before my time. But I remember sitting at home watching the Inter-Dominion. He ran second in the Inter-Dominion to Village Kid, and at the time he was the hero of the town. The whole town used to go, the Murphys and the Frawleys, and it was basically the family holiday. It was when the horse raced somewhere else, and everyone would go, and it was great at the time, and then he sort of he broke down, he injured himself and went to stud, and I actually had more to do with him with the stud side of things. I used to help Don serve the mares and things like that, and I'd jump on another old stallion and ride around and tease the mares. And of course this was in the days before AI, and the horse used to serve 3 mares a day and spend the rest of the day chasing birds and butterflies. He was just a great horse, and it's a shame. Probably in a different era, he would have come back and would have been able to get, with all the technology and the medical sort of side of things now, he would have come back, and who knows what might have been. But he raced in a great era of horses and was a great horse. He was Australian 3-year-old of the year. So
horse that you had a lot to do with from an early age and turned out to be one of your favourites. It is I.
Yeah, he was a terrific horse. David bought him for a client out of the paddock as a weanling actually, and he was just right from day one. He was just such a lovely horse. You wouldn't know he was a colt. He did everything perfectly, and he could just turn a foot was just incredible. He'd just go from 0 to flat out, and so economical in the way he went. And yeah, it's just such a shame that the one real big chance he had to win was the Miracle Mile, and he got locked up behind the leader and didn't get out until it was all over, and flashed late to run fourth, and that was the only time he ever missed a place, when he was run fourth in the Miracle Mile with no luck. So You know, unfortunately, and with him, he had, you know, he nearly died as a 2-year-old. He'd done a tendon as a 3-year-old. He just had so many things, and he just kept coming back, and he just kept fronting up year after year. So, you know, again, what might have been with him, you know.
Yeah, 24 starts, 19 wins, 3 times as runner-up, 1/3, and as you mentioned, the unplaced in the 2005 Miracle Mile behind Be Good Johnny and Slip and Slide. There was a nose margin there, and Robin Hood was just a further 3 metres away, and a nose further back was in his eye, as you mentioned. Extremely unlucky.
Yeah, he was, and I think Robin Hood was one of the only horses that ever beat him. He nosed him out in a Legends Mile or something like that, or a Melton Plate or something, and there was another one he only got nosed out late by something, and you know, he just, even the times that he got beat, he only just got beat. So, you know, he's just a great horse.
The journey you've been on is also took in working with Yabby Dam Farms.
Yeah, I sort of was out of, well, not so much out of horses, but I had a business outside of horses, and I always sort of kept the odd racehorse. But yeah, I got approached by Pat Driscoll's brother-in-law, actually, who I knew through coaching his son in footy, and you know, someone had mentioned my name as a person to break horses in, and Pat was looking for someone to set up the yearling. Obviously had a lot of yearlings, and wanted to do all that from the home base, and he wanted someone that could do it all. And so yeah, I got approached, and I thought, oh, this is a good opportunity. And so I spent 1 year there, and I would have liked to have stayed and probably done at least another year, but Pat wanted to change the way he did things, and so at the time we were building a house, and it just sort of fast-tracked, you know, the opportunity to build our own place and set our own place up, and just, you know, do everything from our own home base then.
Nathan, 2 people you've had a wonderful association with, Jess Tubbs and Greg Sugars, and a horse by the name of Just Believe, who you broke in and looked after.
Yeah, he was one of that group that I broke in at Pat's at Yabby Dam. Always Ready was another one. There's, you know, just a great bunch of horses. Obviously, Pat's got the best mares and the best breeding stock around, and it was just an incredible bunch of horses to deal with. And yeah, Just Believe, you know, you wouldn't believe what he ended up doing. He's probably one of the best horses in the world, and yeah, I've had a good relationship with Greg ever since he come from South Australia. He actually drove a winner for me when he was a junior driver, when he first came over from South Australia back in the Moonee Valley days. And yeah, you know, he's one of the great drivers. I think, you know, when people talk about Gavin Lang, and you know, he is as close as thing as Gavin Lang as you'll see, I think. And you know, Jess and Greg are just great to deal with. They just leave the horses with me and let me do my thing, and they always seem to be happy when they go back there. And yeah, I'm sure that relationship will keep going.
Nathan, that remark concerning Greg Sugars and Gavin Lang, I agree with that 100%. Just Believe, did he show you that he was going to be a good horse, or was it something that just matures?
Yeah, it was a bit of a slow burn. He was a colt at the time, and obviously he's a gelding now, but he was a quirky sort of a horse to break in, and but you could always see, you know, it was always there. But I think, you know, obviously being gelded, you know, after he left there, and you know, and obviously Mick Hughes had a big hand in that as well. He originally had the horse when he left Yabby Dam, but obviously he's gone to a whole other level with Greg and Jess and the way that they do things. And he was always a nice trotter, but you know, you never really know. You can get a bit of an inkling on a lot of them, but of course, until you put them in the race and they've got to be competitive against another one, you don't quite know. But he's just gone ahead in leaps and bounds ever since being there.
Nathan, it must be both rewarding and also exciting when you see a youngster, and we'll take Just Believe into consideration here, that comes through the ranks and turns out to be a champion. You must get a great deal of satisfaction. Oh,
yeah, it does. And I mean, I don't think I've ever cheered for a horse so much that wasn't mine. The first Into Dominion he won with Greg and Jess. You know, it was just screaming in the house. The whole house was screaming for the horse, and you know, you love to see those babies graduate through and you know, become the great horses that they are. And you know, it's always nice to have some part in that. So yeah, of course.
You've also had experience in Canada?
Yeah, for a little while. I sort of at the end of my junior driving career in Victoria, and I sort of wasn't getting a lot of drives. I was still working for the Murphys and was always sort of get the odd, if we had 2 runners in a race, and there was a few other local guys that I got drives off, but it got to that stage where I wasn't getting a lot of drives, and I just thought I was 21 and I thought it was a good opportunity to go and explore the world and I had a bit of a connection with a person in Canada and who was only 10 minutes from Mohawk, and so I went over there and she took me down to the Little Brown Jug, which was my first experience of American racing, which was great, and come back to Mohawk and ended up getting a job with Ben Wallace, who trained the Little Brown Jug winner in Blissful Hall that year. So, my first experience of an international trainer, and he trained the Triple Crown winner for the year and the Horse of the Year, and at the time he had 40 odd horses there, and actually one of the horses that I was looking after was a horse called Cam Motion, who it was the next year, he was a 2-year-old. He came through and won a heat of the North American Cup as a 3-year-old, so that it was a great experience too, and I would have liked to have stayed on and perhaps seen his 3-year-old year through, but probably got a bit homesick and ended up coming home, and probably one regret in not going back, but that's just the way life is sometimes.
Have you enjoyed your first Menangle experience?
Yeah, it's been great. We've been lucky enough to get in at the barns down here, and everyone's been fantastic. They've sort of been, great coming up and chat and, give us the lay of the land. And I can't thank those guys enough for showing me around. And the track's obviously great. It's a different sort of track. It's actually, took me back to fast working horses on Mohawk. Actually, the first 1400 metre track. And so look, hopefully we can get a result in the last, and it'll all be good.
Well, hopefully, Nathan, this has been the first of many trips to Menangle.
Yeah, hopefully I've got a horse good enough to come back, yeah.